Hey, do you know something? Yeah, what? The Buffalo Bills just won another game. What? Oh yeah, it's Victory Monday. Welcome to Bills Lions on Bills postgame. It's the Bills and the Lions. Jared Goff versus Josh Allen next on Bills postgame. Let's get rolling. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sport. From the fan's perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Bills 48, Lions 42. Last week, the Bills suffered a 44 to 42 loss. This week, not the case. And why? Why? Why is it not the case? Happy Victory Monday to you, Bills Mafia. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Detroit Lions in the Motor City 48 to 42. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our week 15 edition of Bills postgame. The Bills and Josh Allen. Coming up, we will have a victory speech with Josh and the gang. But before we get to any of that, before we get down to any of that, the head coaches, as I mentioned in the pregame show, shh, that was a spoiler. That was a spoiler. Yes, we did do a pregame show before today's game. And I said to you before the game, you can't get rid of me that easily. Well, we're back on that front. And I am not talking and I am not playing around with you. We're not playing around. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're not playing around. I'm not playing around with you. I am not playing around because even though you couldn't get rid of me that quickly, we have a game to discuss. Dan Campbell and Sean McDermott, head coaches of the Detroit Lions, who are now 12 and 2. Coming into this game, they were 12 and 1, looking to improve to 12 to 13 and 2 and 1. 13 and 1. They dropped to 12 and 2. The Buffalo Bills were 10 and 3 coming into this game. And it feels like it's been a long time since as I said off the top, happy Victory Monday to you. Well, guess what? It's only been a week. It's only been a week. But it feels like it's been a long time coming. Remember, I said to you on the surprise pregame show ahead of this game, which we call Before They Kick Off. That's our title for the pregame show for the Buffalo Bills. Before They Kick Off is what we're calling it. here on Sports for Beginners. I said to you that we talked about last week's final, some things I liked, some things I didn't like, etc., etc. Did I give a victory speech? No. Did I give a prediction on the Monday Night Football games? Not necessarily. On the Monday Night Football games? No, not necessarily. But I did give you my picks. We'll have a link in the description of the episode to listen to that show when both shows go out, in case you missed it. Yeah, I know, these are probably dropping on Monday, and the pregame show is a bit late to the program, but hey, better late than never. All right, quarterbacks to round out the opening segment. Josh Allen versus Jared Goff. And with that being said, we're going to get to the game tracker, courtesy of the CBS Sports app, in just a few moments. Download the app for yourself to follow your favorite football team or your favorite sport and favorite team all year long and all season long. As previously mentioned, we want to let everyone know that we are coming to you live after the Bills' 48-42 win over the Detroit Lions, 48-42. Your final score from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, the site of Saturday night's contest between, Ford Field wasn't the official venue of the Saturday night hockey contest between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings, but it's just down the road from Little Caesars Arena, the site of that hockey game, and the site of conversation was Ford Field, where we're talking about it, and we're going to break it all down for you after this quick break. When we come back after this break, first quarter, second quarter, first half scoring, possible third quarter and fourth quarter scoring as we break the game down after the break. And following the next break, we will get into our game stats of the game. I do want to take a look around the NFL, only instead of Thursday Night Football, we're going to go through all the games, including the late games, minus our game, and reveal to you all the action you missed, unless you tuned in to before they kick off our Bills pregame show. And I hear that Thomas is trying, actually, he might want to do a pregame show ahead of the Dolphins' next game next week. We'll see if he can do one. But as for us, with the Bills playing 1 o'clock games the rest of the way, 1 p.m. games the rest of the way, we're only going to do one pregame show of before they kick off for this season, just to get our feet wet. And then I will continue to bring you the post-game show after the game. This post-game show coming your way after Dolphins post-game. Next week, it will come your way before Dolphins post-game. on what's probably going to be a busy Sunday. And why do I say busy Sunday? You're going to find out before the program is up. With that said, let's take a word from On the Ice and Behind the Benches as we take our break. And when we come back after that, what you heard during the pregame show will take us to the scoring. It's the calm before the storm, as heard on before they kick off our Bills pregame show. That will kick us off into how this game went down in Detroit today. A lot of things on the horizon for this game. And of course, you know what? I'm going to take the break here before I get into it. We're going to take the break. When we come back, after the word from On the Ice and Behind the Benches on Sports for Beginners, we are coming into the calm before the storm. The calm before the storm. And breaking down the game. All right, let's take the break. Let's go.
Buffalo and Detroit. Two rust-belt cities, strength, perseverance. But this game, it's about more than that. Look at these franchises. How far they've come. Two great teams, separated by one great lake, led by two quarterbacks, something to believe. And they're rewriting history, week by week.
The beat does it again. It's the right side for Holly. He's got it for the touchdown. Looking for the end zone, and he's gonna make it. Touchdown time.
It's been a long road, and the stakes keep climbing. But history is history.
History is history. That's our title of our calm before the storm. And speaking of the calm before the storm, now let's get into the storm, shall we? Here we go. Josh Allen, what a day he had today. A couple of touchdowns in the air and on the ground. We start on the ground as the Lions would get the ball first in this game. Buffalo receives the second half kickoff. But Buffalo is the first team to score in the first half. And they do so on what many people call the tush push. As Josh Allen goes up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown. Extra point by Tyler Bass is up and good. 7-0 Buffalo. 7-0 Buffalo. Buffalo up 7-0. They go up 14-0 on another good extra point by Tyler Bass. After Josh does it again. This time, 4 yards is the touchdown. On the ground for Josh. Instead of going up the middle, he goes to the right of the tackle side, the right tackle side, and gets in there for a 4-yard touchdown. Buffalo's up 14-0 on Detroit. 14-0 Buffalo over Detroit after 1 quarter of play. Second quarter rolls around. Jared Goff says, okay, enough of that. Jared Goff says, okay, enough of that. And he quickly gets Detroit on the board with a nice short pass to Tim Patrick for 12 yards. Jay Bates picking up the extra point. It's up and good. 14-7 Buffalo. Buffalo up by 7 on Detroit. But Detroit's on the board after Buffalo led by 14 after 1/4 of play. Still second quarter. Bills were up by 14 after a quarter of play. And James Cook says, let me bring that back. And he does so. Touchdown Bills. James Cook going to the left side for a 6-yard touchdown. Extra point by Bass is good. It's 21-7, Buffalo. Buffalo back up by 14. 6-yard touchdown, I should say, not a 60-hour touchdown. That would be too long. A 6-yard touchdown for James Cook puts Buffalo up 21-7 on an extra point made by Tyler Bass, thank goodness. And it quickly becomes a 14-point lead for Buffalo. Yet again. But just before the half, Buffalo is leading by 7 as the skipper, is reported in as eligible. Jared Goff gonna pass short to Skipper for a 9-yard touchdown. Bates, extra point, up and good. It's 21-14 at the half. Bills on top by 7 at the half. Bills get the ball second half, remember? And here's what they do. In the first 13 minutes and 11 seconds of the third quarter, Allen hand off to Cook. And Cook leaves the Lions in the dust. A 41-yard touchdown run by James Cook. Tyler Bass, extra point, up and in the books. It's 28-14. Bills back by 14. And this seemed to be quite a theme here. The Bills were up by 14. The Lions were down by 14. They got back down by 7. And this just seemed to continue until the second half when Buffalo said, okay, that's enough. Alec Anderson is reported in as eligible. And Josh Allen, remember, we said he started the game running the ball and scored the first 2 touchdowns for Buffalo on the ground. James Cook, a touchdown in the second quarter, and then a touchdown after the first half to make it 28-14 Buffalo. This time, not exactly a long dime for Kale Shakir, but Shakir is going to get the ball from Josh on a short pass for a 3-yard touchdown. That makes it 35-14 Buffalo. And this means Buffalo is now up for the first time by 21 points. Kind of like a 3-score game, if you will. Actually, more like a 2-score game. Anyways, after 3 quarters of play. Nope, hold on. I need to remember. Jared Goff goes deep up the middle to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He goes to A. St. Brown, I should say, for a 66-yarder touchdown. Lions. This guy, I'm gonna tell you right now, I was watching this play and this guy was gone the minute Goff threw this ball. The minute Jared Goff threw this ball, the minute Jared Goff threw this ball, I said if St. Brown catches this, he's gone. And he was gone. 66-yard touchdown pass from Jared Goff to St. Brown for a 66-yarder dime touchdown. And just like that, extra point by Bates is good. It's 35-21. 35-21. Bills were up by 21. Now they're up by 14 again. So the Lions cutting into the lead here. Here come the Lions. Bills' lead is now 14 points. Once again, after 3 quarters of play, it is the Lions trying to come back from down 14 pretty much. They were down 14 pretty much since that first quarter. And by the way, at the half, it was a 21-14 score with Buffalo on top by 7 at the half. So they were on top 7 points at the half and stayed on top. But now they're up by 14, headed to the fourth quarter. Here come the Lions. Tyler Bass. Well, he and Bates of the Lions. He and Jeremy Bates, I believe, is the I believe Jeremy Bates is the kicker for it's Jake Bates. Yeah, Jake Bates. There we go. So he and Jake Bates have missed a field goal already in this game. They miss a field goal already this football game. But for Tyler, he gets another opportunity. Out of 3 opportunities he would have, he makes 2 of those field goals. But both he and Jake Bates were perfect in extra point attempts, 6 for 6. Bass opens up the fourth quarter with a 50-yarder, a 50-yard field goal to give the Bills a 38-21 lead. This means the Bills go up. Well, they were up 14, so how much are they up right now with the 3? They're up by 17. That quickly becomes a 10-point game as Jared Goff finds Gibbs. He finds Gibbs for the touchdown. He finds Jay Gibbs for the touchdown. One of Jared Goff's couple of passing touchdowns. And just like that, Jake Bates, extra point, up and good. It's 38-28. Uh-oh, here come the Lions. Here come the Lions. Here come the Lions. Uh-oh. Josh Allen, he says, "Hey Ray, are you worried we're leading by 10?" Ray Davis is like, "No, not really." And they connect for a 5-yard touchdown. It's 45-28 Buffalo. Buffalo back ahead by, let's see, it's 45-28. Let's see. They're back ahead by 17. And once again, the Lions make that a 10-point game. It's now 45-35. Extra points, just to mention it. Tyler Bass, up and good. Jake Bates, up and good. Jay Gibbs, up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown after the Josh Allen Ray Davis connection for a 5-yard touchdown. And then the Bills turn to Tyler Bass again. And Bass has to hit one from 41 yards out. And he says, I hit one from 50 earlier. Let me try 41. It's a good hold by Sam Martin, the Bills punter. And Reed Ferguson is at center. And the kick by Bass is up and in the books. 48-35. Buffalo. Buffalo up 48-35. So now that lead is 13 for Buffalo. Jared Goff. And of course, that was just 2 minutes and 6 seconds left on the fourth quarter clock. Now 12 ticks left. Tick, 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 tick. 12 seconds left for the Lions. Goff, realizing he's down by 13, and says, no problem. We're going to try to jump that deficit down as best as we can. He finds Williams, J.A. Williams, for a 3-yard touchdown. Jake Bates. Extra point is up and good. And the Bills will escape Detroit as they do win this game 48-42. They win it by 6. Wow. After they lost last week by 2, just 2, they beat the Lions by 6. Woo-wee. To improve to 11-3. Woo-wee. These last few weeks of football are going to be fun. Let me just tell you right now, these last few weeks of football are going to be fun. These last few weeks of football, they are going to be fun. They are going to be fun. Trust me, they're going to be fun. As I said, the Bills improved to 11-3. The Lions still top dogs in the NFC North. Same for Buffalo, top dogs in the AFC East at 12-2. 12-2 are the Lions. Top dogs in the NFC North. Buffalo is top dog in the AFC East at 11-3 right now. Still battling with the Chiefs for that number 1 spot in the number 1 seed. Of course, they are going to need a Chiefs loss to get that chance. They are going to need a Chiefs loss to get the chance. And we're going to talk about that all following the game stats after this next break of the program that we're going to take a word from our good friends over at Sienna T Radio. That's again Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. A look around at the action, including our late night action besides our game, around the NFL, following the game stats of this game. And just like we did pregame, we're going to set you up for Bears, Vikings, and Raiders, Falcons. All that's still to come. And speaking of still to come, you know it's Victory Monday, but it's not really Victory Monday without Coach McDermott and Josh talking post-game after the game. So we are going to await the locker room to see what the message is coming out of this week. I'm pretty sure I could picture what it's going to be, especially when it comes down to what was said last week when the Bills won, that is. Not, of course, when I say last week when the Bills won, I mean the week before we lost to the Rams. But how about that? You win 7 in a row coming out of the bye, and after dropping to the not the Rams. Well, you did drop to the Rams, but you dropped after the bye week to the Rams. And you beat the Niners on Sunday Night Football. Won the AFC East because of that. And of course, you didn't drop a game, even coming out of the bye, until that Rams game. But you didn't drop a game, despite dropping to the Ravens and the Texans a couple of weeks ago. So you went on a 7-game winning streak. So Bills fans, our Bills team went on a 7-game winning streak until the Rams cooled us off last week. Now it looks like we're looking at trying to win the remaining weeks of the season. Well, we won against the Lions today, I should say, at Ford Field. And now we've got the AFC the rest of the way. AFC East matchups with the Patriots back to back. Well, in retrospect, we also have the Jets in between. Both of those games are at home. But we'll talk about all those in a little bit later. All right. Game stats coming up next. Play of the game also coming up next. A look around the NFL at the games, including our late window, I should say, of games besides Sunday Night Football. Gonna hear from Sean McDermott and Josh Allen with the victory speech coming up as well. And I'll provide you once again with, just like I did for the Bills, I'll provide you once again with my keys to victory. Or, you know what? Nah, it's okay. We'll just go to what's next for the Bills and what's next for the Lions. Nah, it's okay. We don't need to. Quick reminder, if you guys are tuning in on the Ice and Behind the Benches, we are coming to you live on the Ice and Behind the Benches after the latest Maple Leaf Post recap. where the Maple Leafs were battling the Buffalo Sabres in downtown Toronto. The Sabres started well in that game, and then Toronto just took over. But Thomas has you covered on that side. All right, with that said, we'll take a break. When we come back after the word from Sienna T Radio, our game stat, right off the jump before the game stats, we will get into what went down on Sunday so far prior to Sunday Night Football, which is underway as we speak. And I will get to the play of the game as we are counting ourselves down to Sean McDermott, I should say, and Josh Allen's victory speech. That all still to come. If you haven't already, just like I haven't, but we played a little bit of a clip there. Credit to YouTube and the Buffalo Bills and the NFL as well. If you haven't already, I highly recommend you go check out Buffalo Bills YouTube and you go check out the Sean McDermott show from this week ahead of this week's game. During our before they kick off game pregame show, we talked about hearing coach's final thoughts, and that's exactly what we did. We heard coach's final thoughts on facing the Lions. If we do a pregame show and another edition of Before They Kick Off, that will come your way Saturday ahead of the game. Or maybe I'll get it into you Sunday morning. Maybe we'll get it in Sunday morning just before things get going. But then again, you've got Pittsburgh hockey going on Saturday night, I believe. So we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. All the same here. Let's take this break. And we got a lot more to get to here before we get to wrapping this up with what is next for the Lions, what is next for the Bills, and because we're down to 3 weeks into the season, 3 weeks left in the season, I should say, we're just going to get down to who they play next week, and that's it. We're down to 3 weeks, so what's the point in going off down the rest of the road? What's the point when we get to what's next? What's the point? We'll get to it all still to come on the show. Stick with us. After this word from Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Bills 48, Lions 42. The Bills are making a case. for that number 1 seed in the AFC and getting that bye. But the question is, can they get there? And never mind, can they get there? And never mind, can they get there? Never mind, can they get there? We know that they're going to try to get there. All right. A lot for us to get into. And we want to get to the game stats. But before we do, what a day it has been in the NFL. You had the Houston Texans avoid what the Jets couldn't avoid. They avoided a Dolphins blow up of their lead and beat the Dolphins 20-12. Thomas has the coverage on Dolphins postgame. If you missed it, you may want to go back. If you're a Dolphins fan, you may want to go back and listen to it. But all the same, you can hear it here on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches as well. On the other side of the field, the Denver Broncos pull off a comeback and beat the Indianapolis Colts 31-13. The Dallas Cowboys, not Stars, the Dallas Cowboys picking up a 30-14 win over Carolina Panthers today. Oh, those Chiefs. Oh, those Chiefs. How about those Chiefs? As they would say in the victory, speech. Man, how about those Chiefs? Chiefs win 21-7 over the Cleveland Browns. And that was something we didn't want to happen, but it did. So we're not doing ourselves any favors if we lose this game to the Lions, despite the Chiefs winning again. They just keep finding ways to win. The Chiefs just keep finding ways to win. We're just going to have to beat them. Bills Mafia. I'm just going to say it. We're just going to have to beat the Chiefs. We're just going to have to beat them. We're just going to have to beat the Chiefs. We're just going to have to beat them. That's what's going to have to happen. Like, never mind rooting against the Chiefs. We're just going to have to go out there and beat them. Because they're not going to give us any favors. They're 13-1 right now. The only loss came against us. So we'll see where these next 3 weeks go of the season. But honestly, I'm just going to say it. The Bills just need to go out there against the Chiefs, no matter what happens in the playoffs. They just need to go out there, should they end up facing the Chiefs, which probably will happen. They just need to go out there and beat the Chiefs. They just really do. They really do. Moving on. Speaking of the Jets, they do pick up a W after the loss to the Miami Dolphins last week. They defeat the Jaguars 32-25. The Commanders picking up a 20-19 victory against the Saints. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they were clicking as they defeat the G-Men Giants 35-14. They're 9-5. The Giants are 2-12. Bengals against Tyler Rowland's Titans. They beat the Titans. The Bengals do beat the Titans 37-27. They win by 10 points. 30-17 the final as the Cardinals improved to 7-7. The Patriots moved to 11-3. 3-11, I should say. As they lose this one 30-17 the final in Arizona. The one good thing from the Pittsburgh Steelers is that the Philadelphia Eagles, in a little battle of PA of their own in the NFL, a little battle of Pennsylvania of their own, the Eagles defeat the Steelers 27-13 to improve to 12-2. The Steelers, meanwhile, are 10-4 with the loss. And the Buccaneers, as of late, beat the LA Chargers to improve to 8-6. 40-17. Excuse me there. 40-17. The Buccaneers beat the Chargers. And the Chargers are also 8-6. As they fall to 8-6, but the Buccaneers improve to 8-6. And that's all we got for you now, because the only game on right now is our Sunday Night Football main event between the Packers and the Seahawks. And the Packers already giving a rude awakening to the Seattle Seahawks, leading 14-0. But with that being said, that brings us back into our game, which once again, our final score, 48-42 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. It is time for our game stats of the game. Time of possession, Bills on possession of the ball for 32 minutes and 42 seconds. For the Lions, 27 minutes and 18 seconds. First downs in the game, well, total, the Lions pick up 30 first downs. The Bills picking up 28 first downs. 15 passing for the Bills, 27 passing for the Lions. 3 rushing first downs for the Lions, none on penalties. 11 rushing first downs for Buffalo. 2 penalty first downs for Buffalo. The Bills were 5 of 10 on third down efficiencies. On third down efficiency, they were 5 of 10. The Lions converted 6 out of 13 third downs. They were perfect on fourth down, went for it 3 times, got it 3 times. And this is where I bring up the gambling of Dan Campbell. He gambled last week and on fourth down, and it gave the Lions the win last week against the Packers, but it also was 4 good gambles on 1 bad gamble. They went 4 of 5 last week. This week they go 3 for 3. Buffalo, speaking of gamblers, also went for it on 4th down. They only went for it once, so they didn't gamble as much as the Lions did. You can call it a scoregami if you want. You can call it a scoregami if you want. Anyways, the Bills on 4th down, 1 for 1, perfect. Total yards, holy moly! Look at this. The Bills finished the game with a total yardage of 559 yards. 559 yards. Holy! 559 yards. 559 yards. Holy moly. That is quite the day for the Buffalo Bills. Meanwhile, the Lions also just above 500 yards, 521 yards total on 77 plays, averaging 6.8 yards per play. Jared Goff threw for 494 yards. 494 yards he threw for, completing 38 of his 59 attempts. Completions. Josh Allen threw for 362 yards passing, completing 23 out of 34 of his completions, averaging 10.6 yards per play. Jared Goff averaging 7.6 yards per play. Per pass, I should say. Sack yards lost. Once again, the Buffalo Bills offense protects Josh Allen as the Lions unable to get to him. The Lions were unable to sack Josh. But you know who was able to sack Jared? The Bills. The Bills defense got to Jared Goff 3 times and sacked him both times for 21 yards lost. On the ground, the Lions only rushed for 48 yards on 15 rushes, averaging 3.2 yards per rush. They were perfect in goal to go efficiency. Goal to go efficiency. And red zone efficiency, 2 for 2 in goal to goal efficiency. 5 for 5 in the red zone. The Bills rushing the ball on 34 rushes for 197 yards, averaging 5.8 yards per rush. In the red zone, they were 5 of 7. They converted on 5 of 7 of their opportunities. Goal to go efficiency, same thing. 5 of 7 of those were converted into scores. 6 penalties for the Bills for 49 yards. 5 for the Lions for 41 yards. 1 turnover in the game, that was a fumble. 2 yards lost on it. And that is a fumble that was recovered by Buffalo. And honestly, I don't really know. Well, actually, there was 2 fumbles, but the one fumble that there was 1 fumble. for the 2 yards. I actually am not really sure where I stand with that fumble. I really thought a penalty might come out at that. Or in this case, I thought a challenge was going to come. I thought a challenge was going to come, and it was going to say, no, he's down before the ball's out of his hands. I thought this was going to come back and be Lions football. I really did. I really thought this was going to be Lions football. I didn't think the fumble was going to come back. Or say, I thought the fumble was going to come back. Sorry, I thought the fumble was going to come back, is what I meant to say. Anyways, no interceptions by either team thrown. 6 touchdowns each, 4 rushing on the ground. 2 passing touchdowns for Buffalo. And 1 rushing touchdown for the Lions, 5 passing touchdowns. No defense and special team touchdowns. Return yards, not really any for the Detroit Lions in terms of kickoff yards, punt yards, interception yards. No safeties in the game. Buffalo with 58 return yards. They had 3 punt opportunities and got 20 yards out of it. 1 kickoff return where they got 38 yards off of the kickoff. And that's all she wrote for the game stats. All right. Before we take another break, it's time for the play of the game. But let's go to the locker room and let's see if we have. Let's go and see. Let's go and see if we have from the Bills. If we have from Buffalo a victory speech. I don't see it yet, but it will be coming, I'm pretty sure. Maybe after we take this break, it will be here. But we will see. Oh, speak of, there it is on the YouTube channel. There it is. So you know what? We're going to have the victory speech take us to break. Game play of the game coming up next when we continue on Bill's post game. And we are going to bring that to you on Bill's post game coming up very soon. We're going to bring the play of the game to you very soon. Also, still to come, game balls of the game. And what's next for the Lions? What's next for Buffalo? Just a reminder in case you missed it. We're only going to get into what is up next week, as we are in 3 weeks left in the season. We are into the last 3 weeks of the season. So at this point in time, we're going into who the Bills and the Lions play next week. That coming up following the game balls of the game and the play of the game. And we will even take another look around just to check in on that Sunday night football game. But right now, to take us to break, here is the victory speech we've been waiting for. Sean, Josh, What's the message in the locker room? Here's Sean McDermott and Josh Allen after the victory over the Lions. Gentlemen, take me to break.
It is tough to win in the NFL, man. Tough to win in the NFL. But I'm going to tell you what, this group is resilient as heck, man. Didn't practice, right? Had one practice this week. One practice. No. In fact, we made practice. Hey, we made practice 2-a-days this week. 2-a-days, right? Yeah. Hey, guys out coming into the game, and then guys out going within the game, and guys stepping up, didn't blink, and what a gut check it was down the stretch, man. Hey, we threw some punches, they threw some punches, and we countered again, right? Great job, man. Great job. The focus was different. It was different. We need to take that into every week now. Different, right? Different. That's what it's going to take, man, right here. Victory Monday. Let's just get this out of the way, okay? There you go. Hey, love y'all boys. Way to step up and play, man. Everybody was ready today. Win to play. That's it.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Looking for conversation on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm feeling giving here. So we're going to give you Josh and Sean McDermott to close us out when we close out the show in one segment time. But that's taking us to break. All right. Back with more in a moment. Very different message in the locker room. Gonna play that for you again as we reach the final segment of the program here. As I said, very, very, very different message by Sean and the boys. And the Bills win again. All credit going to the Buffalo Bills, and of course YouTube for that, as well as the NFL. As we broke into the break that took us there, I mentioned before we took the break, after Josh and Sean took us out, even though I had a little bit left to say before then, I mentioned that it was, it's a very different message in that locker room. Well, actually, I just did say that when we came back. But anyways, It is what it is. All right. What's next for the Bills? What's next for the Lions as to who they play next week coming up in a few minutes' time. But as we proceed to wrap up the program, it's time for the game play of the game. And for me, I mean, we could think of a lot of things for the play of the game. For me, I gotta go with I gotta go to the third quarter, and I gotta go to that point that put Buffalo on notice. And not only that, it put this game in a 10-point game. But give the Bills credit. They win this game by 6 points. It got ugly, but the Bills hang on to the win by 6 points. They win by 6 points. Our final score, yet again, 48-42. And once again, the Bills, back-to-back weeks, have scored 40 points. Wow. I didn't even think that was going to happen. But you know what? That's all right. A win is a win. All right. With that being said, my play of the game is going to go to the Jared Goff dime thrown in the third quarter, just before the third quarter ended. Jared Goff goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He goes to A. St. Brown for a 66-yarder dime. And it's a touchdown. Makes it a 10-point game, excuse me. Jake Bates hits the extra point, 35-21, 10-point game at that point in time. But that's good enough for my play of the game. Game balls of the game for Buffalo. How about James Cook today? 2 touchdowns, 7.5 yards averaged, 105 yards rushing on 14 carries. 41 yards was his longest run. And then how about this? Kincaid and Coleman back in the lineup. But I'm going to go to Kincaid here. 7 targets, 4 catches, 53 yards. Averaging 13.2 yards, per catch. His longest yard in this game was 29 yards. His longest catch, I should say. And then speaking of Keon Coleman, 64 yards for this guy was his longest catch. His longest catch was 64 yards. Oh, by the way, he was only targeted once and caught one of the 2 targets for 64 yards. How about that? Catch one of your 2 targets and it's a 64-yard? He averaged 64 yards a catch. Wow. So game balls, as part of our player of the game segment, they are for the Bills. I mean, we're going to give one to Josh, obviously, but Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, I think they deserve a game ball here. And James Cook, we also want to give one to him, so that's 4 guys we're giving game balls to for Buffalo. Josh, not sacked in this game. Throws 2 touchdowns, scores 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. Averages 10.6 yards a pass. Threw for 362 yards. completed 23 out of 33 completions. 30 out of 34, excuse me. He completed 23 out of 34 completions, excuse me. And that brings me to game balls of the game for the Lions. First off, we got to talk about Jared Goff. 5 touchdowns for Jared Goff in this game. Yes, he was sacked twice, and yes, he gave up 21 yards because of those sacks. Well, actually, he was sacked 3 times, excuse me, for the 21 yards that he gave up. But he threw 5 touchdowns, scored a touchdown. Well, actually, no, he had Gibbs score a touchdown on the ground and a touchdown in the air. He averaged 8.4 yards per pass, threw for 494 yards, completed 38 of 59 completion attempts, and on that, we're going to give a game ball of the game to Jared Goff. Going to give a game ball of the game to Jay Gibbs. He was outstanding on the ground. 31 yards, 8 carries, averaging 3.8 yards a carry. 1 touchdown, 13 yards, his longest run. How about this guy? Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give him some flowers. Give this guy some flowers. 193 yards receiving. Averaging 13.8 yards a catch. His longest catch was the 66-yard touchdown. And the dude was targeted 18 times and caught 14 of his 18 targets. All right. One more guy that's going to get a game ball from the Lions side. One more guy. And I'm thinking of Montgomery, David Montgomery. 5 rushes, 4 yards, 3 yards his longest. He averaged 0.8 yards per run. I thought, okay, not necessarily his best game played, but the guy did what he had to do when he had a chance. And yeah, okay, he didn't have a great day on the ground, but he did have a good day in the air, I think. Yeah, he did. 4 catches on the 4 targets, 31 yards. All right. With that said, that'll just about send us to a 30-second timeout. When we return, who do the Lions play next week? And down the stretch, we're going to add that just as we are wrapping this one up. We're going to add that in there. And of course, I want to get you guys set up for Pats versus Bills. That is our conversation next week. And I look forward to bringing that game to you post-game next week. 1 p.m. Eastern Time is the game. We will bring that to you next Sunday on Bills post-game for sure. Maybe, just maybe, we will do a before they kick off. And we'll see if we do so or not. If we don't, hope you guys enjoy the only edition we did this season of that. looking forward to doing it a lot more frequently next season, or maybe during the postseason. We will see. What's next for the Lions? What's next for Buffalo? And as always, Shout will take us out. But also coming up, we'll be taken out as we were brought out in the last break. We'll be taken out by victory speech against the Lions. Sean McDermott and Josh will be back with that victory speech again that I might play on repeat, honestly. After we return in 30 seconds to wrap this up. Stick with us. We wrap up Bills versus Lions on Bills postgame in 30 seconds. Bills 48, Lions 42. Bills Mafia, happy Victory Monday to you. Quick check-in here as we get into our later half of Sunday Night Football. The Packers leading the Seahawks 17-3 right now. At the 2-minute warning of Sunday Night Football for the first half. They are headed to halftime in 2 minutes' time. We are closing off this edition of Phil's postgame, which started a couple minutes after the game went final at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, maybe 8:09 p.m. Eastern to the exact. But regardless, we had this start as soon as Dolphins postgame wrapped up. And we started our before they kick off program at 2:18 p.m. Eastern today. So hope you guys check that out, even if you haven't already. Again, better late than never. But with that said, this is the last segment of the show. Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, the victory speech is coming back around in just a moment. But before we get there, as for some of my final thoughts, actually, we'll get to final thoughts for me in a little bit. In just a little bit. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Anywho, what's next for these two squads? Let's talk about what's next. Well, as I mentioned for the Bills, and this is what we're coming on for Bills postgame the rest of the way. The Buffalo Bills will battle the Jets in Highmark Stadium at the home finale on December 29th after the Christmas break. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's December 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern. 1 p.m. Eastern, they will next play the New England Patriots next week. And that's Sunday, December 22nd, 2024. Game time at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then after Jets week, the following week, after the Patriots, the Bills have their road finale of the 2024-2025 NFL regular season at a time to be announced, as I'm sure we will find out by the end of our first of two Patriot Bills recaps here this season on Bills Postgame. But on a very special day for myself and my brother, hosts of Sports for Beginners, and of course, Thomas is host of Dolphins Postgame, and On the Ice and Behind the Benches. It's the Patriots versus the Bills from Foxborough, Sunday, January 5th, 2025, at a time to be announced. Meanwhile, for the Lions, next week they go head-to-head with the Chicago Bears on Sunday on Fox. 1 p.m. Eastern is the start time. 12 p.m. Central is the start time on the Central Time Zone. Then Monday Night Football. The following week on week 17, they are in Monday Night Football, taking on the Niners in San Francisco at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. And they'll wrap it up at home at Ford Field with the Vikings coming to town. Everybody's playing on January the 5th, which is a Sunday. So a lot to get into on week 18. A lot to get into. And we'll find out how week 18 shapes up over these next 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. For the Bills, 3 weeks to postseason time. For the Lions, 3 weeks to postseason time. One thing for sure for now, they won't see each other till possibly the postseason, but we'll see how far they get. Your final score once again, 48 for the Bills to 42 for the Lions. The Bills win it 48 to 42. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will just about do it. I will catch you guys next week for Patriots Week, whether we do our pregame show before they kick off, before the game, or right after the game, likely right after the game, between the Bills and the Patriots to get you ready for Jets Week the following week. And then, yet again, we're doing it again with the Patriots. A lot to be busy about here on Sports for Beginners, especially when it comes to Dolphins postgame. Whether or not the Dolphins make the playoffs or are out. I'm pretty sure we'll find out over these next 2 weeks whether they are playing in the playoffs or they are out. of the playoffs. With that said, the shout song is coming up in just a moment. But first, you heard it when we did our victory speech earlier. So why not close it out with the victory speech once again? Here we go, back to YouTube and the NFL and, of course, Buffalo Bills YouTube channel. All credit to all those I just mentioned, as I don't own any of it. Just a disclaimer there. But ladies and gentlemen, for the Buffalo Bills fans out there, Bills Mafia, love one another. Go Bills. Be kind to yourself, football fans out there, especially this giving season. And, as always, for Bills Mafia, go enjoy your Victory Monday. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Sean, Josh, take us to the shout song to take us out of here.
It is tough to win in the NFL, man. Tough to win in the NFL. But I'm going to tell you what, this group is resilient as heck, man. Didn't practice, right? Had one practice this week. One practice. Don't. Yeah, no. In fact, we may practice. Hey, we may practice 2-a-days this week. 2-a-days, right? Yeah. Hey, guys out coming into the game, and then guys out going within the game, and guys stepping up, didn't blink, and what a gut check it was down the stretch, man. Hey, we threw some punches, they threw some punches, and we countered again, right? Great job, man. Great job. The focus was different. It was different. We need to take that into every week now. Different, right? Different. That's what it's going to take, man, right here. Victory Monday. Let's just get this out of the way. There you go. Hey, love y'all boys. Way to step up and play, man. Everybody was ready today. Win the play. That's it.
And with that, go enjoy your Victory Monday. It's time to sing. No matter if the Bills win or they lose, we still play here on Sports for Beginners. We still play the shout song. So with that said, shout. The floor is yours. Go enjoy your Victory Monday.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. You got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. You got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey, let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
Go enjoy Victory Monday. Go Bills. And we'll see you next week after Bills Patriots. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at Sports for Beginners Podcast 8231 at gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.